Yeah. Okay, away we go.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you both on Friday.
Good evening, folks.
Is that too bright, Ian?
No, it's okay. You're okay. Nice to see you, Anne. Elfie. Well, it's a rainy old night here in the Yarra Valley. I don't know how it is for you other folk, wherever you are. A really good time to be indoors and a great time to meditate. And I don't know about you, but I often find meditating when it's raining quite, I don't know, comforting or heartening in a way. There's an old, we're talking about guided imagery tonight, and Ruth's going to lead the practice. But just as people are gathering, and by way of a bit of an introduction, there's an old American Indian practice that they do, which is very, well, yeah, it is. It's quite similar to the practice we're going to do tonight. Certainly similar in its intent and its effect. And actually, when American Indians, in some of their traditions, used to have people that were sick, they'd actually put them out in the rain and get them to imagine the rain was actually washing through them and washing away the illness. And I remember hearing about that, I think probably when I was ill back in the mid-70s. And whenever it was raining, I must admit I wasn't as courageous as the Indians were and go out actually into the rain, but I still do it. I like that image of the rain actually washing through you and washing away whatever troubles you, you know, whether it's a physical problem or something emotional you want to let go of, or something that's bothering your mind. It's you know, obviously rain is very pure as it falls from the sky, and so it's got this capacity to both be cleansing and purifying. So perhaps by way of a more specific introduction for this evening, I can imagine many of you having conversations like I am with people who are just talking about the general level of stress and anxiety that they're experiencing. And it seems like everywhere we look, there's things that are unsettling, you know, whether it be on a global scale with what's going on in Europe, with Ukraine and the war there, or the environmental issues that have been so big in Europe recently and in America. There's, you know, lots of financial uncertainties. COVID still having a big impact, I think, on our whole way of living, really. It's coming into all aspects of things. So I think if you've even got the slightest tendency to be being a bit stressed or anxious, we're living in times where that's very easy to experience it and have it affect your life. And one of the things that strikes me about that is that it's, for a lot of people, it just seems pretty constant. It's sort of one thing after another. And if you get into a cycle of feeling stressed and anxious, then there's a question of how can you break that cycle and get back to a sort of more balanced state, both in your body and in your mind and emotionally. And of course, meditation in its simple and direct form can do that. But I think if your mind's really troubled, it can be quite hard to just let go of your thoughts and your emotions and allow things to settle. Maybe if you've practiced a fair bit, it's easier. There's no doubt, I guess it is. It's something, a skill you can learn. But for many people, whichever way it works, it can often be good to have a way of taking some time out. And you know, this exercise we're doing tonight has a lot of application in that sense. Another application I can think of is that when people have got chronic pain, that's something too that you experience in your mind, and to be able to take a break from the pain and have some time out, it can also be very useful. So this guided imagery exercise that Ruth's leading this evening is something that your mind can engage with and get fully immersed in, and it can take you out of whatever you're actually dealing with at the moment and put you into a really good state of mind. So this sort of guided imagery exercise, we can be very clear about. It is about positive escapism. It stands in quite a strong contrast to how we might understand and practice mindfulness, which is learning how to be more present to whatever's going on for you. And in guided imagery, what we're doing is saying we're selecting images that we run through our own mind, like little video clips, which actually give us something to focus on that's clearly positive and clearly has both therapeutic and healing and energizing intent. And by actually doing that and by concentrating on that and immersing ourselves in those images, we can in fact take time out from whatever's bothering us, whatever might be causing us anxiety, stress, pain, and be like really refreshing. It can be like hitting the refresh button. So these are exercises that over the decades that we've used them, many people who are basically well have found really helpful as a way of actually entering into a more relaxed meditative state, sort of like as a stepping stone into meditation. They found it really helpful as a way of energizing their systems. Over the years, I've worked with quite a lot of athletes who've used this particular exercise as a way of re-energizing after heavy training sessions, and very useful, for people who are going through healing of any sort, whether physical, emotional, or mental. So it's a really good general purpose exercise. And clearly the whole thing with it is about bringing to mind the images that are suggested through the exercise and actually immersing yourself in them. So it's not about standing back like an impartial observer, like what we might when we're doing mindfulness or meditation. It's actually the opposite. It's about creating these images and putting yourself into the images as if you are actually really there, and you know, it building up as much a sense of reality as you can. And Ruth and I were talking a little earlier, and she asked me where this exercise came from, whether I just dreamed it up. And I'd like to say I sort of did. But it was actually inspired by meeting with Dr. Alex Forbes. And Alex Forbes was the medical director of the Bristol Cancer Help Centre. He was a specialist physician and a real sort of old-time dinky-die physician, you know, when physicians were actually physicians. He was a lovely gentleman. He was a serious meditator and been on a spiritual path all his life. And he was quite elderly when I met him and when he became the medical director at the Bristol Cancer Help Centre. And he was part of what helped that centre to get patronage from Prince Charles. And I had the good fortune to meet him, and then I invited him out to conferences in Australia. And one time I invited him to come and talk to a cancer group or gathering of people who were attending cancer groups we were holding in Melbourne. And he did an exercise that sort of triggered me to sort of develop this exercise. So I sort of wrote it, but if I'm being transparent, it was Alex Forbes who sort of provided the backbone for it. And he was a lovely gentleman, and he's been dead for quite a few years, but perhaps we can sort of dedicate tonight's practice to his ongoing journey wherever he happens to be. Lovely man. So that's a bit of a long-winded introduction tonight. So I'll hand over to you, Ruth.
Thank you, Ian. Can you hear me all right? Good. I wanted to add a couple of things to what you said, because I think because we are a people and a culture and a generation who've watched so many movies and seen so many movies and films that we've immersed ourselves in, I think we actually have a natural propensity for imagery meditation, in the sense that we do actually quite naturally jump into the storyline and the pictures, and we actually engage in that way that, you know, we'd like to do in this meditation, as if, you know, our imagination becomes the movie, so to speak. And the wonderful thing about this particular meditation is I believe that even when you're feeling incredibly pessimistic and stuck and irritable and annoyed with how little your situation is changing, or you find yourself thinking rather bleakly about your future, it actually works on an unconscious level as well as on a conscious level. So the images that are used are what we call archetypal images, in the sense that in many cultures, in fact, it's practically universal, that the images of light and water are used for healing, that healing is often represented in that way. And so the use of the light and the water in this actually works on that deeply unconscious sense of how we are and what's happening, in the way that can transform the situation that we're in. So I've done this exercise countless times, and I find it particularly helpful when my mind will not be still, and it actually needs some kind of imagery, some kind of visualization to captivate it. And also when I'm feeling very stuck or pessimistic, I find that it leads me unconsciously out of that particular conundrum that I'm in. So hopefully this can be an enjoyable exercise for you, and you do it in a way where you don't expect too much of yourself, and allow yourself to be taken on a little journey. So it's called the healing journey. And if you'd like to lie down for it, then please do so. And if you would like to sit up, then I ask you to just take a few moments to settle into your position. And if you're lying down, that your body's symmetrical, as symmetrical as is natural for it, and that your hands are resting the same on both sides of your body, or your tummy, or wherever they're resting, and that you're actually feeling well supported in where you are. And if you're sitting, your back is just as upright as is comfortable, and you'll probably find it best to have your feet flat on the floor, a little bit apart, hands resting on your thighs or maybe in your lap. You might like to lean back a little and feel the support from the back of the chair or the cushion. And just notice what's most comfortable for you, and make any adjustments. before you decide that you're going to be sitting still. And we'll begin by gently closing our eyes. And this exercise is done best with the eyes closed, of course. And aim to let go of any effort, any striving to make something particular happen. Let's just do this together in an alert and relaxed manner. Let's be curious and observe what happens. You might like to take a deeper breath or two and feel your body releasing, relaxing. Letting go. So we're reminding ourselves of why we're doing the exercise. And as soon as we've done that, we just let that go, aiming to be free of any effort and allowing the process to happen with a meditation. Turning your thoughts inwards and remembering that this is a time where we're using guided imagery for deep relaxation, for regaining our balance, and moving gently into stillness. Letting go. Now in your mind's eye, imagine you're in a beautiful field. And as you walk across the field, feel the grass soft underfoot. Look around. Any trees. And hear the wind gently blowing through the leaves. Look up at the blue sky, seeing the occasional little white cloud drifting by. And as you walk through the field, notice the feeling of the ground beneath your feet. Maybe the sound of the crackling of the grass underfoot. Anything you can smell, any fragrance. And feeling the sun gently warming your forehead. And as you move forward, you come to a beautiful pool surrounded by rocks, with a gentle track leading down to a sandy bank. You move down onto the sand and feel your feet and toes in the sand. At the edge of the water, taking off whatever clothes you feel comfortable to leave behind, and entering the water. If you like to swim, swim. If you like to paddle, paddle. Whatever's comfortable for you to do in that water. And moving through the water, feel it refreshing, vital against your skin. You might like to dive under the water, feeling the freedom of movement. You might like to throw some water up into the sunshine and see the sunlight sparkle in the drops. Watching and hearing the drops splash back into the pool. Moving through the water, you look ahead and see a gentle waterfall. You move towards it. You might like to pass under it and feel the water tumbling upon your shoulders. Refreshing, invigorating, cleansing. The water feeling like it's passing right through you, washing away anything unwanted, any old, tired energy, any pain, anything you wish to leave behind. You're feeling refreshed and vital. A new sense of vitality. Passing behind the waterfall, you see what looks like a cave in the rock. It looks inviting, safe. So you enter into it. And you see what appears to be a tunnel. It is dark, going off into the distance. But again, it's inviting. And you move into it. And as you move in, it's dark, but there in the distance, you can see a light off in the distance. And as you move down the tunnel, the light gets brighter and brighter and brighter. Until you emerge out of the tunnel into the full light of day. The sun shining down brightly. Gently. Warmly. And there in front of you, you see a green grotto, surrounded by palms, ferns, luxurious green trees of all sorts. And in the middle, a grassy cleared patch with a bench. And on the bench, a towel and fresh clothes. You walk down the steps towards the grassy patch and take up one of the towels. Feel it soft and fresh against your skin. Smelling the fabric. Drying yourself and putting on the clean clothes. And then make your way on across the grass, and you'll find a small track leading through the undergrowth. It winds around a little. And as you move forward, you emerge into a beautiful forest filled with tall and stately trees, rising up into the sky above. A canopy of leaves and sunlight gently filtering on down. Gently filtering on down. And as you look around, you'll find a tree you're particularly drawn to. So make your way across to that tree. And then you might like to lean up against it with your back. Or perhaps you could face it, wrapping your arms around it, hugging the tree. You can feel its strength, and you can imagine its roots reaching down deeply into the ground, almost as if your own legs are extending down into the earth, like the roots of the tree. It's almost as if you're spreading out like the roots of the tree into the earth below you, drawing up the earth's energies, feeling the strength and warmth of Mother Earth rising up into your body. And at the same time, you can imagine almost as if your arms and fingers are rising up like the branches of the tree, radiating out into the sky above you and drawing down the energy of the sky and the sun. Feeling those energies flowing down into you from above, coming together with the earth's energies rising up from below. A combining, a coming together, an integration, a sense of oneness. Just letting yourself go into that feeling so effortlessly, just flowing and resting with it. The energies of the earth merging with the spirit from the sky, coming together, melting, merging. A oneness, so easy, just feeling the ease of it all. Going with it. going with it. And letting go. Letting go. Resting quietly now in the feeling of all this. And if at any stage you do notice your mind wandering or becoming distracted, as soon as you do notice that, gently bring your attention back to that feeling of letting go, relaxing, releasing, merging, melting, dissolving, feeling a sense of oneness once again, and simply resting in that stillness now for a little while. Quite effortlessly. Effortlessly. Letting go. Letting go. All through. So now just bringing your awareness more particularly back into your body. Perhaps take a somewhat deeper breath or two. You might like to move your feet a little, move your hands a little. And then when you're ready, just let your eyes gently open again. Good. So remember that the imagery in this exercise is in your mind. And when you're doing the exercise, it's fine to have your own little personal additions in the images that we're presenting through the meditation in a way that actually helps it be more conducive for you. And sometimes people take a place that they know, and sometimes people do a completely fantasy place, and sometimes it's a composite. And whatever it is, it's actually fine if it actually helps you to develop that sense of being at ease and relaxed in that environment. So, wishing you well with this and hoping you get as much out of it as I have over the years.
Thanks, Ruth. It was lovely this evening, and yeah, your voice comes over really well with that. I imagine everybody's had a really good session. Thanks, everyone. And next week we've got some important news for you. So look forward to seeing you all in a week's time. Thanks again, my love. Good night, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Good
Thank
night.
you. Thank you, Ruth.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Thanks, Ruth.
Thank you. I do see something in the chat here that I'll pass on. There's an ABC TV program at 8:30 on Tuesday about our friends, the trees, part 2 of Australia's favourite tree.
Ah, yes.
And supported by the ABC website for further information. And Ian and I did watch it, and it's a really wonderful show about trees. So, yeah.
Looking for Australia's favourite tree, which is quite a job, really. I've been putting a few magnolias on my Facebook page in the last little while. It's magnolia season, and gosh, they're beautiful flowers. Actually, I can show you this one. Look at that for a flower.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? And that's a little one. This is sort of for that particular, that's Magnolia Felix, grows very well in the south. Anyway, have a good night, everyone.
Bye.
Or day, if you're early.
Good night.